tourism is all about adventure, new experiences, and making unforgettable memories. But sometimes those memories take a dark turn. In this video, we're diving into 5 shocking cases where dream vacations turned into absolute nightmares, proving that not every getaway has a happy ending. Buckle up, because these real-life tourism tragedies will leave you speechless. Roldanillo, Colombia, a dreamland for paragliders, where the sky is a playground and adventure is just a launch away. The town is famous for its stunning landscapes, ideal weather conditions, and the thrill of soaring over the picturesque Valle del Cauca. On January 21, 2025, the Agap Panela launch site was buzzing with excitement. Paragliders from around the world had gathered, their colorful wings decorating the sky like confetti at a celebration. Among them was 38-year-old Paulina Biskup, a Polish adventurer who had made Dublin her home. Paulina was the kind of person who couldn't resist the call of adventure. A Trinity College graduate, she had built a life in Ireland, but her spirit belonged to the open skies and distant horizons. Her love for travel, exploration, and adrenaline-pumping experiences made paragliding the perfect thrill for her. She had come to Colombia with her boyfriend and friends, eager to experience the magic of flight in one of the world's most famous paragliding destinations. Though there was a major paragliding event happening nearby, Paulina and her group were not part of the competition. They were simply there for the joy of flying, to experience that indescribable rush of floating above the world. While her boyfriend and friends launched from a different site, Paulina took off from Agap Panela, gliding effortlessly over the breathtaking Colombian landscape. The wind was strong, the sky was clear, and for a moment it felt like pure, unfiltered freedom. For a while, everything was perfect. The wind in her face, the vast expanse of green valleys below, and the exhilarating sensation of weightlessness. There's something magical about paragliding, a sense of defying gravity, of becoming one with the wind. Paulina, with her fearless spirit, was in her element, enjoying every second of her airborne adventure. But, as any experienced paraglider knows, the skies can be unpredictable. In a matter of seconds, the dream turned into a nightmare. Powerful gusts of wind suddenly disrupted the calm, sending Paulina's parachute into a chaotic dance. The once friendly breeze transformed into a force of nature, pulling her off course and making control nearly impossible. The joy of flight quickly turned into a desperate struggle. Paulina fought to stabilize her chute, but the turbulent winds had other plans. Her parachute twisted, the cords tangled, and gravity began to reclaim its hold. In those harrowing moments, what had started as a breathtaking adventure became a terrifying descent. Despite her efforts, the powerful winds proved too much. In a tragic turn of events, Paulina's flight came to an abrupt and devastating end. The accident sent shockwaves through the paragliding community, a stark reminder of the risks that come with the thrill of the sport. The very skies that had given her so much joy had, in an instant, become the setting for an unthinkable tragedy. News of the accident spread quickly, leaving those who knew Paulina heartbroken. Her adventurous spirit, her love for life, and her courage to embrace the unknown made her someone who truly lived every moment to the fullest. Though she is gone, her memory remains in the stories of her adventures, in the places she explored, and in the skies she loved so much. Roldanillo, for all its beauty and thrill, now carries the memory of that fateful day, a reminder that while adventure is exhilarating, nature always holds the final say. It was September 6, 1988, in Kenya's Masai Mara Game Reserve, a breathtaking wilderness teeming with wildlife and, tragically, the site of one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries. Julie Ward, a 28-year-old British wildlife photographer from Bury St. Edmunds, Suffolk, had been on an adventure across Africa for 7 months, capturing the raw beauty of the continent. She was just a week away from returning home, but fate had a cruel twist in store. The day before, her vehicle broke down while traveling with her Australian friend, Dr. Glenn Burns. He set off for Nairobi to get help, while Julie stayed at the Mara Serena Lodge. By morning, with her car repaired, she drove to Sand River Camp to collect her camping gear, and then vanished. Silence stretched for days. Concerned and desperate, her father, John Ward, flew to Kenya on September 13th to search for her. What he found was every parent's worst nightmare. Julie's vehicle lay abandoned in a gully near a river, and nearby, her remains were discovered, burned and dismembered near a fire. This gruesome revelation ignited John Ward's relentless, decades-long quest for justice. At first, Kenyan officials came up with wild explanations. Maybe a lion attack, maybe lightning, but John wasn't buying it. His investigation uncovered something far darker. There were no animal bite marks, no signs of a lightning strike. Instead, forensic evidence showed Julie had been cut up with a sharp blade. A British pathologist later confirmed the worst. She had been dismembered with a machete and set on fire. John was convinced it was murder, and that someone was trying very hard to cover it up. He poured his life savings into finding the truth, spending over £2 million, making more than 100 trips to Kenya, questioning witnesses, and piecing together clues. His suspicions pointed to Jonathan Moi, son of then Kenyan President Daniel Arap Moi. According to a witness, Julie had unknowingly crossed paths with Jonathan Moi and his associates while taking photographs. The encounter allegedly turned deadly, and a cover-up was swiftly put into motion. Despite compelling evidence, no charges were ever brought against Moi or his alleged accomplices. Instead, 2 park rangers were arrested but acquitted in 1992 due to lack of evidence. Years later, in 1997, another suspect, former Chief Park Ranger Simon O. Michaela, was arrested, only to walk free in 1999. John remained convinced these men were scapegoats, while the real perpetrators sat untouched in high places. Determined not to let Julie's case fade into obscurity, John sought help from British authorities and even MI6, hoping to force Kenyan officials to act. In 2004, a British inquest officially ruled that Julie had been unlawfully killed, calling out the Kenyan government for its blatant mishandling of the case. But while the verdict confirmed what John had known all along, it didn't bring justice. With the case still unresolved, John refused to give up. In 1991, he published a book, The Animals Are Innocent, detailing his investigation and what he believed was a systematic cover-up by the Kenyan government to protect the country's tourism industry. Then, in 2019, Jonathan Moi passed away, taking any confessions or secrets with him. The case remained frozen in time, a puzzle missing its final pieces. John kept pushing forward, but in 2023, after decades of fighting, he passed away just weeks after his wife. His tireless mission now rests in the hands of his sons, Bob and Tim, who have vowed to continue the fight. Determined to keep Julie's story alive, the Ward family is working on another book and a documentary to expose the truth once and for all. Bob, reflecting on his father's determination, described John as meticulous and unstoppable in his pursuit of justice. Though Julie's death forever altered their lives, the family has learned to channel their grief into perseverance, ensuring her memory never fades. But the haunting questions remain. Could Julie's death have been prevented? Was key evidence suppressed? Would justice have been served if the case had been properly handled? To this day, the mystery looms large, a painful reminder of how difficult it is to seek justice when powerful forces are at play. The Ward family refuses to let the case be buried in secrecy, determined to honor Julie's legacy and finally uncover the truth behind her tragic death. On October 18, 2024, off the coast of Pulau Masukut Island in Indonesia, Julia Manfrini was doing what she loved most, surfing the waves with her close friends Alexandra Riba and Massimo Ferro. At 36, Julia had built a life around adventure, co-founding a Wave Travel, a surf travel agency, and making the Mentawai Islands her second home. Originally a professional snowboarder, she had long traded snow for the sea, chasing waves across the globe. That morning, as the trio surfed near the southern part of Cut Island, something completely unimaginable happened. Out of nowhere, a swordfish launched out of the water, striking Julia in the chest with its razor-sharp bill, piercing 5 centimeters deep. Her screams cut through the crash of the waves, sending her friends into instant action. They fought to keep her afloat, but the ocean wasn't making it easy. Battling the swells, they managed to get her back to shore, where a doctor in the group desperately tried to save her, but the injury was catastrophic. The swordfish's strike had landed dangerously close to her heart, and despite all efforts, Julia was unresponsive. She was rushed to the Pepe Pasakiat Tailelu Health Center, but there was nothing more that could be done. She was gone, leaving behind a stunned and heartbroken community. News of Julia's tragic death rippled through the global surfing world like a rogue wave. This was the kind of accident no one could have seen coming. Swordfish attacks on humans are virtually unheard of, more like something out of a bizarre ocean myth than real life. In fact, the only other similar case on record was in a 2007 report from the Asian Journal of Surgery, where a man was fatally struck while fishing. But for a surfer, this was a first, and it made the loss even more shocking. Julia wasn't just another surfer. She was the heart and soul of the community. Her co-founder at A Wave Travel, James Coulston, poured his grief into a tribute, calling her the driving force behind their company. He spoke of her boundless enthusiasm, her fearless spirit, and the way she lived every moment with passion. Social media was flooded with tributes from her 22,000 Instagram followers, all remembering her as a bright, adventurous force of nature. Fabio Giulivi, the mayor of her hometown, Venaria Reale in Italy, called her loss devastating. But to those who knew her best, Julia wasn't just a talented surfer. She was a mentor, a friend, a connector of people, someone who could turn strangers into family through her love for the ocean. The Mentawai Islands, with their legendary waves and untouched beauty, were where Julia felt most alive. She had always spoken about her deep connection to the sea, never shying away from its dangers. She especially loved Naz, a wild and remote surf spot where she could spend endless hours chasing the perfect wave. For her, surfing wasn't just a sport, it was a way of life, a communion with nature, a pursuit of something bigger than herself. Her death, as surreal and tragic as it was, only underscored the unpredictable power of the ocean. Why did the swordfish leap? Could it have been avoided? No one will ever know. But those closest to Julia aren't dwelling on the unanswerable questions. Instead, they are holding on to the legacy she left behind, the adventurous spirit, the infectious energy, the courage to embrace life's wildest moments. Julia Manfrini's story is a reminder that life, like the ocean, is both breathtakingly beautiful and wildly unpredictable. She lived on her own terms, chasing waves, building a community, and spreading joy wherever she went. While her passing leaves an unfillable void, her memory is carried forward by the people she inspired. Her friends, family, and fellow surfers will remember her not for how she left, but for how she lived, with passion, courage, and an endless love for the sea. In the rhythm of the waves and the laughter of those she touched, Julia Manfrini will always be there, a fearless woman who rode life's currents with grace and left behind a legacy that will never fade. On September 15, 2024, in the heart of Naples, Italy, Chiara Giaconis was celebrating her 30th birthday in true style. A rising star in the luxury fashion world, she had built a dream career, managing 15 Prada stores across France, Monaco, and Belgium. Living in Paris, she had worked with prestigious brands like Moncler, Givenchy, and Christian Louboutin. This trip to Naples with her boyfriend, Livio Rousseau, was meant to be a special milestone, a perfect blend of romance and relaxation before heading back to their fast-paced lives. That afternoon, the couple took a final stroll through the lively Spanish quarters, soaking in the vibrant energy of Naples. Chiara carried a backpack and a shopping bag while Livio wheeled their luggage through the narrow streets. It was just another sunny day in one of the city's busiest neighborhoods, until, in an instant, everything changed. As they walked beneath a historic building on Via Santa Anna di Palazzo, a heavy decorative statue from the third floor plummeted down without warning. The 2-kilogram piece, depicting an ancient pagan deity, struck Chiara directly on the head, sending her crashing to the ground. Surveillance footage captured the horrifying moment as Livio, momentarily frozen in shock, dropped everything and rushed to her side, his desperate cries for help echoing through the street. Chaos erupted as bystanders gathered, some trying to assist, others watching in stunned disbelief. Emergency services arrived swiftly, rushing Chiara to Ospedale Pellegrini before transferring her to Ospedale del Mare, where doctors fought to save her life. But the injuries were catastrophic. Despite their best efforts, Chiara passed away on September 17th, leaving behind a devastated family, heartbroken friends, and colleagues reeling from the sudden loss. The news sent shockwaves through the fashion industry, where Chiara was admired for her talent, drive, and undeniable charm. Her father, Gianfranco Haconis, a respected condominium administrator in Padua, publicly thanked the doctors who had done all they could, even as he struggled with unimaginable grief. Meanwhile, local authorities launched an urgent investigation into how such a tragedy could have happened. Initial reports suggested the statue's fall might not have been a freak accident. Investigators suspected it had either been dropped or thrown from the balcony, possibly by children playing inside the apartment. Police, working alongside the Naples prosecutor's office, opened a case for involuntary manslaughter, questioning the apartment's occupants and examining whether negligence or something more sinister was to blame. With multiple people, including minors, present at the time, authorities were left to untangle the circumstances behind the fatal fall. In the days following Chiara's passing, Naples became a city in mourning. The Spanish quarters, normally bustling with life, fell into a solemn hush as residents, tourists, and local officials gathered for a candlelight vigil in her honor. Naples Mayor Gaetano Manfredi expressed his condolences, calling the incident a deep sorrow, while Veneto's governor, Luca Zaia, reflected on how everyone had clung to hope for Chiara's survival. But beyond the grief, the tragedy raised urgent questions about public safety and the aging infrastructure of Naples' historic buildings. The city, renowned for its rich history and architectural beauty, now found itself under scrutiny for the potential dangers lurking in its picturesque but often poorly maintained structures. Residents began demanding accountability, calling for stricter inspections and maintenance regulations to prevent another senseless loss. Chiara Giaconis had spent years building a life many could only dream of, traveling the world, shaping the future of luxury fashion, and embracing every challenge with grace and determination. She was living proof that hard work and passion could turn ambition into reality. But in a matter of seconds, a completely preventable accident cut her journey heartbreakingly short. While questions remain about what truly caused the statue to fall, one thing is certain: this tragedy should never have happened. Chiara's story is now a painful reminder of how fragile life can be, but those who loved her refuse to let her memory fade. Through their grief, they will continue to honor her legacy, one of ambition, resilience, and an unshakable love for the beauty in life. On October 25, 2023, in Indonesia's Limpokuwus Pine Forest, the Gayung Bridge, an eye-catching glass-bottom walkway held up by two massive golden hands, was a hotspot for thrill-seekers and selfie enthusiasts. Suspended 10 meters above the forest floor, its transparent panels gave visitors the illusion of walking on air, making it a must-visit attraction. That Wednesday morning, 11 tourists from Cilacap, Central Java, stepped onto the bridge, ready for a scenic stroll. Everything seemed normal as they admired the breathtaking view beneath their feet, until, in a heart-stopping moment, disaster struck. At around 10 a.m., a glass panel suddenly shattered, sending 4 people plunging down. Their screams filled the forest as chaos erupted. 2 of the victims managed to grab onto the bridge's frame, hanging on for dear life, while onlookers rushed to pull them back to safety. Another tourist, who had also fallen, miraculously climbed back onto the bridge. But tragically, one victim wasn't as lucky. When rescuers reached them on the forest floor, they were already gone. The entire scene was caught on video, turning what was meant to be a fun outing into a horrifying spectacle. As investigators pieced together what had gone wrong, it became clear that this wasn't just a freak accident. It was the result of gross negligence. Months earlier, back in April 2023, serious concerns had been raised about the bridge's stability. Ikop Purnomo, chairman of the Limpakuwus Pine Forest Cooperative, had warned management to inspect the structure after multiple visitors reported feeling uneasy about its safety. But instead of addressing the issue, the bridge's manager brushed it off, sending a representative to a meeting who left without even discussing the matter. No inspections, no repairs, just complete disregard for the warnings. The consequences of that inaction were now painfully clear. As the investigation deepened, local authorities sealed off the bridge as a crime scene, temporarily shutting down the entire Limpakuwus Pine Forest for safety checks. What was once a tourist magnet had now become the center of a national scandal. The incident also reignited debate over the rising popularity of glass-bottom walkways. While these attractions offer a unique thrill, they come with serious risks if not properly maintained. Tourists step onto them, trusting that safety measures are in place. But as this tragedy proved, that trust can be dangerously misplaced. And this wasn't the first time a glass bridge had made headlines for all the wrong reasons. In 2021, a man in China was left clinging to the side of a damaged glass walkway after strong winds shattered multiple panels beneath him. Though he was rescued, the incident was a chilling reminder of the dangers posed by poorly designed or maintained structures. In the case of the Gyeong Bridge, it wasn't a natural disaster that caused the collapse. It was sheer negligence. Multiple visitors had even voiced concerns on social media, yet their warnings went ignored. Critics slammed the management for failing to uphold basic safety standards, arguing that such a catastrophic failure was entirely preventable. The collapse also raised serious questions about the quality of materials used in these glass structures. When even a single panel fails, there's almost no time to react, as this tragedy proved when 4 people were affected instantly. As the investigation continues, the spotlight is now on how often such attractions are inspected and whether current safety regulations are even close to being enough. Could stricter oversight have prevented this disaster? Could the loss of life have been avoided with routine maintenance and proper risk assessments? Unfortunately, those answers have come too late for the victims. But one thing is clear. This tragedy has sparked urgent calls for tighter regulations and more rigorous inspections, especially for high-risk tourist attractions like glass walkways. While these structures offer breathtaking experiences, they should never come at the cost of safety. The Gyeong Bridge disaster is a harsh reminder of what happens when warnings are ignored and lives are gambled with in the name of tourism. As authorities continue their search for accountability, one hope remains: that this serves as a wake-up call, ensuring that no more lives are lost to preventable tragedies like this.